Hello YouTube. Now, today I know I usually don't do videos, but if you guys watched my video that I made on Monday and read the description, then you would see that I said I was going to do a vlog about the Steven bomb that happened this week on Friday, but I didn't really get to because I got home very late. Really, the time I got home on Friday was at 10, and I only had an hour at my house, so kind of a boring day, actually. But I digress. So, this is basically my Steven Universe vlog about the Steven bomb, which, if you guys don't know what a Steven bomb is, that probably makes a lot of sense, because, yeah, I didn't even know for a while. The Steven bomb is basically when there are new episodes of Steven Universe all throughout the week. So yeah, with that said, let's start talking about the first episode. Okay, so for episode 1, I want to address one thing first. The new intro. Now this intro is really cool. It's nice to see that all the characters have gotten their updated clothes, and also that, well, they're showing more of a character in the intro, showing how now Connie's holding a sword, which is Rose's. I guess she gets Rose's sword. How they're showing how Greg is actually hanging out with the gems a little bit more, which is kind of cool. And there's so much more stuff going on. Even, I think Steven got his shield out, so that's pretty cool. But if I could nitpick it a bit, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, the beginning of the intro, we have, like, this wide-angle shot of all of them crowding the screen, and I couldn't even look at the beautiful background just because they're all crowding the screen with their faces. But, at least the animation was nice. So, yeah, the intro's pretty cool. It's still a cool intro, so I won't nitpick it too much. So, for episode 1 of the Steven bomb, we have Pearl, we have Sworn to the Sword, which is about Connie trying to learn how to use a sword. And while doing so, it starts getting a little bit complicated, or at least a little bit too serious, because Pearl is starting to take this very seriously, even saying that Connie could throw away her life doing this. You know, for kids. But, and then they also show this really cool scene of a war going on. Fire is everywhere, characters are about ready to die. I just wanted to point that out, it was awesome. But basically, the thing is that Pearl can come back to life, except in a new costume. Connie cannot, because she's not a gem. So, yeah, as you can imagine, this got pretty intense. And actually got pretty emotional at some point, because Pearl's connection with Connie was basically how they reacted to Steven. And it's kind of nice to see that Pearl is basically caring a little bit more about what humans do. Because on the show, we've seen her be kind of awkward and stuttery around people because, you know, I really had no idea why. But she's basically kind of awkward around them, and she just doesn't really work. It doesn't really work with her and people. But when she's hanging out with when she's teaching Connie how to use a sword, she sort of sees herself in Connie. How Connie wants to protect Steven and also be prepared for a battle. So it's kind of nice to see that Pearl has that connection with Connie. And then there's also Steven and Connie's relationship in this episode, which is kind of put to the test here. I mean, they're basically saying, okay, she's trying to risk her life for you, but of course because being Steven, he doesn't want her to do that. So their friendship is sort of put to the test, seeing how they both have different ideas about what to do. Although, of course, in the end, they get along, but it's still kind of neat to see that dynamic going on between them. So, yeah, this episode has definitely been the best out of the Steven Bomb. And some of the episodes have come close in the Steven Bomb, but this one's definitely one of the best that came out of it. And it also has one of the best songs in it, in the series, which is, You Do It For Him. And oh my god, that song, it's awesome. It's a great passage of time, showing how Connie's learning more and more about a sword, and also giving it the correct amount of time that it needs to get you to understand what's going on and get the story that's taking place without throwing the story out of balance. So this episode was definitely a great one. And now on to episode 2 of the Steven Bomb. Okay, so for episode 2, this one really felt like filler. It's basically just Ronaldo doing a documentary of how he thinks that the gems might be dangerous to BC. And then in the end it says, nope, they give me weird stuff to blog about, so yeah, they can't be too bad. Even though, what were they going to do? They were really going to do nothing, so even if he didn't change his mind, nothing will have changed, so it would have just been an annoying protester. But aside from making a few funny jokes, like how Garnet would react to Ronaldo, and her just saying, okay, it was really funny. Aside from that, I don't really see why they needed it. I mean, what was the purpose? They didn't need it. It wasn't that great of an episode. And it definitely didn't seem to fit in the Steven Bomb. I think it was just to remind people watching that this show can have humor, but I don't know. Maybe it was just to give the characters a break, but hey, that's what the last episode is for. So, yeah, this episode seems like something that didn't really need to be in the Steven Bomb, but needed to be in the usual Steven Universe Thursday's episodes block. But, I mean, at least they gave it something. At least there were some funny jokes, and yeah, the way they had to make it a found footage episode until the very end, it was kind of clever, and I guess I can't complain too much. It was still pretty funny. So now on to episode 3 in the Steven Bomb. Okay, so for episode 3, it's called Keeping It Together. Oh yeah, in the last episode I forgot to mention this was called Rising Tides and Crashing Skies, I think. But this episode is called Keeping It Together. And this is one out of the 3 episodes that do try and challenge episode 1 at being the best episode in the Steven Bomb. But this one's just missing some elements that could make it good. That could make it really good, like the show usually is. Like, it doesn't really go into much detail as to how they got all these gems and how they fused them together, or even how they even gave them life again. And also why Peridot is just running away instead of doing something else. I mean, we know she has electricity powers, so why didn't she use them? I don't know, but she's still kind of a fun character. And they're also pushing out more of the fact that Garnet is a fusion. Like, okay, yeah, she is still a fusion, and she's still keeping herself together and all fused. But some things will just get at her that will just try and make her fall apart. But it doesn't really have that much to offer. I mean, it was kind of cool to see even Garnet was afraid of these gems that were fused together by force and not by opinion, but It's not really anything new. I mean, we've seen her be afraid of stuff before. Like, so many birthdays. That episode, she was afraid that Steven was going to die. And then, again, in the episode The Return, when all those people where the gems were coming, where homeworld gems were coming to Earth. So, there are some moments where she has been afraid, so it's not that different. Although I will give it this, it does show that she does have a lot more of a soft side for Steven. Like, Steven's basically this little kid that she wants to teach and how to grow up and everything. She basically wants him to grow up right, I think. And that's really kind of fun to watch. Like, I do like seeing them as friends and just hanging out together, but at times that can get kind of annoying in this episode. Because there are so many moments where she's just a little bit too nice on Steven, and yeah, there are some moments where she just finds far too many things enjoyably whimsical. So, yeah, it's kind of a good episode about my favorite gem, but it could use a little bit more. Well, okay, second favorite gem. Lapis is still my favorite, but it's a pretty good episode about it. So, yeah, on to episode 4. Okay, so this episode is called We Need to Talk, which just takes place after Greg has now seen Connie and Steven fuse for the second time. Well, he hasn't seen it for the second time. This is his first time seeing it, but now they fused twice. And, of course, he's shocked by this, because who wouldn't be? But, surprisingly, out of all the magical things that he's seen happen, this is the one that amazes him the most. Why? Well, that's explained in a story, which is the story of how he learned about gem fusion from Rose, Garnet, Pearl, and Amethyst. And by God, is this episode good. Although it does require a few viewings to really see that it's good. Because this, to me, is the exact same as the first episode with Rose and Greg being told in the story. That episode, I watched that one a few times, mainly because I just wanted to hear that song at the beginning again. And you know what? That one became one of my favorite episodes. And so is this one. It does great in explaining how these gems feel about the fusion and about people, how they feel about humans. Because, I mean, we do look at this as completely different angles from completely different gems. Rose looks at them more like toys. Kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't really know why she views them more as toys, but she says that she can play with, that she likes playing with them. She finds them entertaining, and Pearl brings up that eventually their novelty is going to wear off, much like a toy. But here, we see that Rose's ideas are kind of changed by Greg, because, well, Greg actually wants a little bit more respect from her, which is probably the very first time that a human has ever asked her that. And he eventually gets that respect. But of course, that's after he's put onto a challenge by Pearl, who basically challenges him to seeing if he can fuse with a gem because this has never been tried before, and Pearl says that this is the ultimate connection between a human and a gem, between gems. So basically, she wants to see if they have the ultimate connection that gems have. But finds out that they do not fuse, big surprise, and instead they have an argument. Well, sort of an argument. It's more like a one-sided argument for both of them, because there's an argument about how Rose is questioning why Greg keeps on laughing and also crying about how this isn't gonna work, and There's also an argument about Greg telling her to treat him with a little bit more respect than just laughing at everything that he says. And yeah, I gotta admit, that laugh got annoying. By God, God, that laugh was annoying. So all I can say is that laugh got annoying in that scene. And actually, this episode treats how Greg and Rose feel for each other very maturely. Because after this argument, I don't think that too many people bring this up, but after this argument that they have, they just sit, they just sit together and just talk. Like, I'm guessing how a normal relationship would work. I don't know, I've never had one, but they just sit down and talk about it. Talk about how they have nothing in common, how she's from a different planet, and how, of course, that's weird, and also how they're worried about where this relationship is going to go. But eventually find out that, yeah, this is very confusing, but hey, that's one of the main things that they have in common. So, they're both confused by this. So, that's the thing that they have in common. And, you know what? This episode does it wonderfully. It's able to identify what's going on inside these characters' heads without telling us. It's able to show how these gems react to humans. It's able to show all the gems' dynamics with one another, and also with Greg showing how 3 of the gems are okay with them, and yet Pearl isn't, because Pearl, for whatever reason, has something against humans, I guess. Still never explained. But this episode just demonstrates that so wonderfully, and I think that this one is even better than Story for Steven, because they actually spend time trying to trying to develop these characters and make them very interesting. And also developing now my favorite character on the show, which is a younger version of Greg. Because by God, the younger version of Greg is awesome. Although, I kind of relate to him in a way. Because, I mean, he gets stressed out, I get stressed out. Yet when he's not stressed out, he's pretty normal and a little bit confident in himself. That's kind of how I am at times too, so it's kind of cool. Maybe that's why I like this character so much, I don't know, but God, I think that he's just an awesome character, and there needs to be more episodes where he's telling Steven and Connie, or telling someone's stories. Because, God, those were just awesome episodes. And I can't wait to see how many more episodes they'll have like this one with Rose and Greg, because, in all honesty, I want to see more of it. Like, there is just so much that they can talk about, and yet they don't really talk about it that much. I mean, it'd be kind of neat if they actually had a half an hour blocked episode just talking about how Rose was and how Greg was and their relationship together. That would have been very interesting. And I can't wait for an episode like that. Just a half an hour episode of that. Because they have this great idea with doing these. They need to make them longer. And that's probably the biggest problem with these episodes. They're immensely short. How most of the episodes in this show are 11 minutes, sometimes ranging up to a half an hour, because half an hour block. This episode that I'm talking about is only 10 minutes long. God, is that a ripoff? And the last episode was like that too. It just sort of stops. It doesn't end, it just stops. Right? Dead in its tracks. And, oh my God, why do they have to do that? It's so annoying. But I really thought that they were going to continue it with the Story for Steven episode, at least. Because, I mean, sure, in this one, I can't really see how they could continue it. But in the last one, I could because I was basically thinking, okay, they're gonna make him go. Okay, well, maybe he'll put Steven to sleep and then he'll go to sleep because there's nothing else for him to do, and the story will continue in his head. But no, it just sort of ends. Why does the show like to tease like that? But it's still a great episode, but you gotta watch it a few times just to notice that. And I'm not done watching it yet. I still had so much fun watching it, and I'm going to watch it a few more times. Along with my Rose Gold Sword, which I made, and I just want to show people. Keep it handled. So, yeah. On to episode 5. Okay, so now we are on to the last episode, which is called Chill Tide, I think. Or Chilling Tide. This episode is about, basically, the Gems are very tired, which makes no sense. I mean, they've been on this earth for years and never slept, yet now they're tired. You try to figure that one out. And basically, what they do is Steven decides, hey, let's have a slumber party because we can, I guess. And from there, it's basically them going to sleep. That's really the whole episode. But it has something very interesting. For one, Steven finds a new power, apparently. Apparently, he can enter the dreams of other gems. I don't know why, but he can. And he enters the dreams, or at least the mind of Lapis. And he's basically talking to Lapis about how she's doing, how she's been, and she's trying her best to concentrate and control Jasper because in the episode Jailbreak, they fused together and she dragged her into the ocean. But now apparently she has to keep a lot of control and a lot of focus over Jasper, so then she can actually keep Jasper down there. And eventually she just starts giving in to this. She starts giving in to the fact that they are a fused gem now, and eventually lets Malachite take over. So, yeesh. I mean, for one, what is Malachite going to do? Because we know nothing about Malachite's personality. Will she be more like Jasper, or will she be more like Lapis? Or will she be both of their personalities combined? And will that be a dangerous situation or not? But instead, no, we have to end the episode on Garnet sleeping. Oh, aren't you glad they gave us that? But still, it is a great episode. It does really make you speculate, okay, what's going to happen on the show? And when's the next episode coming out, and when are they going to be looking for Malachite? Are they going to find Malachite? Are they going to keep on looking? Are they just going to wait for Malachite to come to them? Is Malachite going to come to them? If so, that'd be very stupid. But it does really make you have a lot of questions about the show. And even though some of the dreams were hilarious in this episode, which kind of do make you forget about the drama that's going on. Like Pearl's dream, oh my god, that was hilarious. But, yeah, it's just a great episode. This one's one out of those 3 episodes that did try and challenge the first one for being the best. And you know what? This one was very close. I would have to say that either the first episode in the Steven Bomb or the 5th episode in the Steven Bomb are tied at number 1. Because they are both great episodes. They have a great story going on, and it's nice to see that the story arc is still continuing, and it's just so nail-biting, because you have no idea where it's going to go, no idea what these characters are going to do, and and you just keep on wondering. And this is a kid show. It's making me wonder what the heck is going to happen next. Aside from Gravity Falls or Over the Garden Wall, I have not seen one of those in a long time. So, I'm gonna keep on watching the show. Let me know if you guys want me to talk about Steven Universe some more on my channels, and let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about on Steven Universe in the comments. And if you do, then we can have a little conversation about that, I guess. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Bye.